Welcome students, and today we're going to be doing a quick tutorial on GarageBand for the iPad for an upcoming project that you have. So first thing we're going to do is go ahead and open up GarageBand. When you open up GarageBand, you always see like a menu of songs that you've created in the past. So I'm going to ignore all that I have. I'm going to go ahead and select Create Song. And this basically begins a new project for you. Now, anytime you start a new project in GarageBand, it's basically going to ask you, where do you want to start? Are we starting with audio? Are we starting with drums or keyboards? In this case, we're going to start with audio. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it here on audio recorder and select voice. All right, so the way we're going to do this is I'm just going to give you a quick overview of all the different items that you see on your screen, and then we're going to talk a little bit about creating that project. Okay, so first things first. Top left corner, you see that little paper with a flap. That basically will take you back to the menu of all your different songs and projects that you've worked on. So we're not going to touch that right now. The next one is going to be your instruments. In this case, our instrument currently is a microphone. If I were to touch that again, I can select it into something a little bit different. Drums or keyboards or whatever you'd like to do. The next button is track view, which we'll get more in detail a little while. But basically this takes away all the settings for the instrument itself and just shows you the track of what you're recording. All right, and next we have like an equalizer button, or I should say, equalizer, which in audio terms it basically means it allows you to fine-tune what you've recorded, which you really won't have to mess with unless you're recording in a very noisy room. Then you may need to, change a few things around to make it sound better for you. Okay, next three buttons on the top are going to be the rewind button, which basically that little triangle pointing to the left is going to take you all the way back to the beginning of your track. Then you got a triangle pointing to the right, which is play, the universal button. The next button, or the next icon, there's a red circle, and that's basically record. So this is the one that you're going to go ahead and touch when you're ready to start recording your voice. And of course, you got your volume control here, which controls the volume on your iPad, but it's also very important that it's also the way you're recording your voice. So don't want to have it too high, because then your voice will come in very, very strong. All right, next we have a metronome button, and if you're not a musician or if you're not in band, basically this button, let me go ahead and play it. You'll hear the little tick-tock, and that basically keeps the beat. Now, we won't need that in our project, so I recommend that you do is turn that off. There's two ways we could turn it off. So you can just basically tap it once, and it turns white, and that's it. It's turned off. Or you can click on this settings button, select metronome, and you can just go ahead and say no sound. So you never have to worry about that. Now, the reason we don't want to hear that is when we're recording, if the metronome is on, it's actually recording the tick-tock while we're recording our voice. So we don't really want that in this project. So I could turn that off. All right, the next button up there is the loops button, which kind of looks like a roller coaster loop. If you touch that, it's going to basically show you all the different sound effects that are built into GarageBand. Now, there are more. I may have more than what your iPad has, and that's just because I have purchased a lot, but also I have the ability to download. Now, you guys won't have the ability to download several of the new tracks, so if it lets you, awesome. If it doesn't, I apologize, but you have what you have. There's still quite a variety of sounds in there for you to choose from. Okay? And it basically works as you can search, you can type the type of music. If you want to start your project with maybe electronic music, it'll actually show you electronic music that you can use for your project. You tap it once, plays a preview, tap it again, it stops. We'll go back to that later. Okay, and lastly, if any of these items confuse you or you want to maybe refresh your memory, you hit the little question mark. It actually shows you and highlights every single item on your screen to give you an overview of what you're working on. So that is a really, really cool feature. So if you're stuck, you can go ahead and use this to help you get through what you're stuck on. Another thing, if you see a little black arrow pointing to the right, you touch that, it'll actually take you to their help files and kind of give you a tutorial on what you want to do. So you can either watch this video again, or you can just go ahead and click on those yellow boxes to help you learn more about what you're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the question mark again. All those items go away. And here we go. All right, so right now we're in an audio track, our vocal track. Notice when I went to track view, the only instrument on my screen is that microphone. Now in GarageBand, you could have up to, there's really no limit, but we should pretty much never go over 32 or 64 tracks or different sounds going at once, just because it's harder to keep track of, especially on the iPad. But in your case, you guys are gonna have about 10, maybe max of 15 tracks if you do this with a lot of different sound effects and a lot of different voices. But right now I only have one track or one instrument, which is that audio microphone. Now if I touch that microphone, actually if I touch the microphone on the top left, which goes into the settings for my track or for my instrument, I'll see a microphone volume, I'll see a monitor, you don't have to worry about that one. You also see studio and fun. Now, if you're recording a track that will have maybe robots or monsters or UFOs or chipmunks, this is the application for you, or this is the section you need to go to. But I wouldn't mess with any of those effects until after you record it with your normal voice. Then you can go back here and kind of play around with that. But under studio, this is the instrument settings. Here you have pitch control, a bunch of different things that I don't even know what they do unless you play around with them, and then you kind of figure it out. Now, lead vocals, GarageBand is a music application, so it's expecting you to create music. So automatically it thinks, I'm going to record my voice, I'm going to sing, and it adds some effects to it that we won't really need. So what I'm going to do is show you guys how to switch that microphone, the type of microphone. So you're going to select it once by just tapping where it says lead vocals, and you get a bunch of different other microphones. For what we're doing, we're going to go ahead and select narrator. Narrator has the best settings for you to record your voice, and we can get a clear sound of your voice. So I'm going to hit save. Actually, I should just hit done. And there's narrator. So now we're ready to basically record our voice on this vocal track. So let's just do a quick recording. So I'm going to hit record, and it's always going to count you down, which is a really cool feature. Hi, my name is Jacob Lovino, and today we're going to be doing a GarageBand introduction. Mr. Lovino, and today we're going to be doing a quick tutorial on how to record a podcast. So there's my recording. Doesn't sound very great, but it's there. So I recorded on that track. Now, that's just my introduction. Now, one thing you got to remember is when you're recording in GarageBand, you don't have to record the whole thing at once. You can record in sections, record a sentence at a time if you want to. You don't have to do it all at once. You have that control. Now, rather than me starting a new section here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually create new tracks so that I could have them all on separate layers. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my track view, which is top left corner, third button. Here it is. I'm going to hit the plus sign again. I'm going to hit voice. I'm going to do it a few more times. All right, so now I have multiple tracks, but remember, it always brings these in as lead vocal, so I'm going to go ahead and switch mine. Okay, so now we have all these different tracks, and I can record separate tracks for each voice. So if I'm going to record, let's say, the body of my message, I'm going to go ahead and select that second track right here. Maybe the conclusion I wanted on this third one, or conclusion on the fourth, and the third one is going to have sound effects or something that I do, else I do with my voice. I can go ahead and have those. All right, I'm going to go ahead and record these. So I recorded a second track here. So GarageBand itself does have a lot of different features. All right, so we have the multiple tracks there going. Now, if I'm going to record more tracks, if you go here, you swipe to the right, it's going to tell you hit the plus above to change the length of the song. Right now, my song is only 9 of these measures. So I'm going to hit the plus sign. I'm just going to go ahead and add some more. And just to be safe, I'm going to go about 36. And that's just to make sure that I have enough space. Right? And you see everything kind of blow up. Now you can pinch to zoom, and you can pinch and kind of get closer. So I still can see the tracks I'm working on, but they're manageable, so I could still move them around. Now I'm going to record a third track. Basically, you don't want to record here because it'll basically record at the same time your other voice is starting. I mean, if you're having a conversation in your project where you want 2 voices to be on at the same time, you can totally do that. I still recommend that you record them on separate times, or you can go over here and hit. Let me show you. If it looks like this, you basically press and hold the microphone and swipe to the right, and you get all the volume controls there. You get this little mute button, which basically mutes the entire track, or headphones, which basically means you only hear that one. In this case, because I'm going to record a third track, I'm just going to go ahead and mute the ones I already recorded. Now, anytime you're working with tracks, it's very important that you click on the track you want to record on. So I'm going to go ahead and touch the third microphone. That's the one I want to use to record. All right, so now I'm going to hit record. I absolutely love GarageBand, and I can't wait to use this with our projects. All right, so there's my third one. All right, then now I'm going to record my conclusion to my podcast or to my project. I'm going to mute that one. And I touch the fourth layer. I'm going to hit record. And that is all we have for today. Hope you enjoy using GarageBand to create amazing projects. Thank you. And that's it. So now I'm going to go back to my track view. I have all these different tracks. Here's the beauty of why we want to record them on separate layers or on separate tracks, because now I can move them around, make them fit exactly where I want to. And like I said, if you're having a conversation, you can play 2 things at once. Or in this case, I can have it in different areas. I can have this one right here. And then, of course, my conclusion. I can have it at the end. And I can leave some space in between it because we're still going to be playing around with that and, messing around with GarageBand itself. Projects like this do require sound and maybe even music. And we're going to review that in part 2.